and surrounding campuses were placed in a secure. Splendora ISD administration, Splendora ISD police, and multiple surrounding agencies responded. At 9:50 a.m., the campus status was changed to a secure hold as the investigation continued. I will let Assistant Chief Bass of the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office speak further on the investigation, but I do want to take a moment to say, while this is a very unfortunate incident, the safety and security measures that we have implemented worked flawlessly. Our staff and surrounding agencies train for these type of events, and I could not be more proud of the system in place. We understand that situations like this can be concerning, and we truly appreciate the patience and cooperation of our students, our staffs, and of course our parents and families while our emergency protocols were followed. The safety of our students and staff remains at the top of our priority. Counselors are available on campus to support any student who may need to talk about the situation. Of course, we've engaged in our reunification plan already. Parents have the ability to pick up their students. We will start to begin with our lunches, and classes will resume. So at this time, I do want to turn it over to law enforcement to talk further into the investigation part of it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. My name is Rick Bass. I'm the Assistant Chief of Operations with the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office. I'm here today on behalf of Sheriff Doolittle. Unfortunately, we take threats like this very seriously, and they've activated all resources that we have with Montgomery County Sheriff's Office to investigate this matter. Behind me, you'll see a lot of law enforcement personnel. I'm going to go ahead and name a couple of them that were here. We may be missing a few, but the response here, we had over 80 law enforcement officers here within minutes of this going on. So that's something very proud that our response was what it's supposed to be when we get threats like this to our school system. Montgomery County Sheriff's Office responded. Montgomery County Precinct 4 Constable's Office, the Texas Game Wardens were on scene shortly thereafter, Splendora ISD, Splendora Police Department, New Caney ISD, Texas Department of Public Safety, Liberty County Sheriff's Office, and Montgomery County Fire Marshal's Office. I'm going to go ahead and give a timeline of what's going on and where we're at with the investigation right now. At approximately 8:45 a.m., Montgomery County Sheriff's Office received a panic alarm that was activated by a teacher at Splendora High School. 3 school resources were already on scene and had began placing the school in lockdown while law enforcement responded. Montgomery County Sheriff's Office and multiple surrounding law enforcement agencies responded to the scene. Approximately almost 100 law enforcement officers personnel responded and assisted with securing this location, and we began our investigation. Montgomery County Sheriff's Office Criminal Investigations Division was on scene within 30 minutes of this report of an incident and began their investigation. Montgomery County Sheriff's Office major crimes detectives and the crime scene investigators were reviewing video surveillance, interviewing witnesses, and collecting evidence. During the investigation, it was determined that there was no assault on a teacher that was committed by a student. The injury sustained to the teacher was self-inflicted. Evidence supports that this was a hoax. The teacher has been charged with filing a false report and also felony tampering with evidence. The teacher has been identified as 53-year-old Nicole Truelove. She's been a teacher with Splendora ISD for 1 year. This is an isolated incident. There is no threat to the community. The Montgomery County Sheriff's Office takes all these law enforcement matters seriously when it relates to schools, and we hold adults just as much as we hold children responsible for calling in fake threats to schools. I'll take a few questions if y'all have them, but again, this is very preliminary information. We just wanted to update you on where we're at in this investigation.
What type of self-inflicted wounds she had? She used a knife, or what type of?
Well, there was an instrument found in her possession that we believe was what caused it, which is why she's being charged with tampering with it as evidence.
Define that instrument. What is that?
Similar to like a blade, a lock's knife.
How did they get that in the school? Are there metal detectors here?
I'm not sure. You'd have to speak with Splendora ISD about that.
Sir, would you answer that question for us? We do not have metal.
Go ahead, sir.
Can you talk about what led up to this hoax, why she may have done this?
I can't go into that information right now. Thank you, though.
I mean, these are situations that schools, law enforcement, you spend hours, years training for these kinds of situations. To know that somebody put these students through this, these families through this, what would you say to this person or to anyone that would do something?
Well, which is why we highlighted how much law enforcement showed up here today. and that this person should be held responsible for their actions. This was a huge law enforcement response. This is what's supposed to happen when we have threats on school campuses, and that's what you see here today. That's why you see such a large law enforcement community here. We take it very seriously, and if it's going to be a hoax, if you're going to call it a hoax, we will hold you responsible for it.
Going
Can you
back to
talk
the
about that
injuries.
panic button that this teacher, can you tell us a little more, what is that panic button? How do they work?
I'll let Splendora ISD comment on it if they're willing to. It was a panic button that was activated.
So we've got a system called Centegix. It's a wearable panic badge that all our employees have, and they can engage that, and it does two things. If you hit it 3 times, it engages a medical alert or something more internal. But if you hit it more than 3 up to 10 times, it literally locks the building down. So that's what occurred in the classroom. She engaged that badge.
Were there students in the classroom at the time?
No.
Does she walk through minute by minute what time that alarm is activated, what time the SR place school on lockdown, and also again minus what time the on hold?
Well, the school was locked down immediately. I guess the most important thing was there was at least 3 law enforcement personnel already on campus. They locked it down immediately. They did what they were supposed to what they're trained for. They secured the location while law enforcement was responding.
How soon after that did parents notify?
I can't speak on that. I'd have to. Do you guys have an idea of when the
Exact time, but I know it was pretty quick soon after, within time. The teacher, we can get that information, but the teachers have the ability to engage in the lockdown. So it's not a call, it's not a wait, and then we do that. So that teacher, in particular, when you hit the badge, it initiates the system. Panic buttons start going off, flashes, the computer screens pop out, so teachers are notified immediately. And from there, of course, we send communication as soon as possible.
So speaking of communication, some of the parents stated that there is lack of communication from the district. What's your take on that?
I believe with the information that we got, of course, we were trying to communicate as soon as possible with the proper facts. Being in the lockdown situation, you always want to eliminate any threat that could possibly be in the building. And at that point, we were still trying to look through the information, so the lockdown seemed appropriate at that time. And until we could get to the point where we were leaning towards self-inflicting and there not being an actual situation through the camera and the footage that we looked into. So each time we could provide that information. And it's moving very fast, of course, and we don't want to put something out that's not factual to put fear. So we try to do our best with that.
Yeah, we have a conclusion to this case within several hours of the incident going on. Locking down the location and securing it is the most important thing. Then the investigation begins. This investigation has been concluded within hours of the reported incident with a person in custody.
2 questions for you. First, the injuries, the severity, were they taken to the hospital?
I don't want to go into the comments related to the injuries just because it's still ongoing at the moment.
Were they transported, yes or no?
No, they were not.
And one more question. Is there a history of disciplinary problems with this teacher or anything like that?
Was the same teacher that got the self-inflicted, was the same one that activated the panic button?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Can you tell us more about this teacher? How long have she been here?
She's been with our district
Can
for
you
1 year.
get closer to
Yes,
the
sir.
podium, please?
She joined our district this year.
And there was nothing in her previous employment history that
We have a scan, go through a system, just like all other school districts do, and of course, there's nothing that was flagged that prevented
Maybe
us from.
For either
Let's take
one
one
of
more
you,
question.
this was a
One more question.
For either one of you, this is the rumors that were coming out of the school were vastly different from this information that you just shared to us. Can you talk a little bit about the fact that this is part of the beats, right? All these rumors coming out of it, trying to wade through to figure out what actually went on.
Yeah, and I'll speak a little bit on behalf of the school system, of course, and I will go back to say when we talk about our drill systems and we talk about lockdown and the protocols that we use with the standard response protocol, it was followed to the T. And I think the confusion, this is kind of a unique situation being that it was self-inflicting and the original report was not there. So we're trying to find that and look to see if that occurred. But of course, that's the lag. Well, where is it? It doesn't make sense. And you got to look through the tape and the video and of course ensure that there's no imminent threat on the campus. And that's what we are working through. So I'm very proud of my staff members, my administrators, teachers, students, because it's a lot and it's heavy. And when we engage in those things, regardless of what's going on, it's a mindset. And I'm very proud of my team for what they did today.
Final
Going
question.
back to the hoax, I just want to ask you specifically what this teacher exactly said and if there is a motive for this hoax, if she had any issues with any students prior.
Again, this is still early in the investigation. I mean, we just accepted charges. We just charged this individual. There's still things that we're still developing, interviews to do. Remember, there's hundreds of witnesses in this school. So comment on that early would be, it's not, we don't want to put that information out at this time.
Did she admit to it? Final question. Did she admit to the stabbing herself?
We're not going to take any more questions, but thank you guys very much for being here.
Are you the arrest